Hello everyone, it's me Dooble158, and yet it's been a while, hasn't it? 6 months was the last time I truly uploaded a video. Besides the whole 3D TV stuff, and yet, yeah, that was for a reason. If you did not see the community post, for us, we had unfortunately moved out of our old home, in which we lived in an old trailer home. And yet for the past 6 months, it was just been absolutely awful. Just to kind of keep the story short, a year or so ago, our landlord told us that we're all getting evicted around March 3rd. So due to this, for the past few months, we've been just kind of more release of just kind of appreciating and kind of having one last hurrah at the old home. So which due to that, that was kind of sad. And then after it, so when that was over with, we finally found a place, but it was not going to be ready until May 1st. So due to that, we had to end up staying at this little motel. And yet there, no Wi-Fi. So due to that, I didn't have access to my second channel, Dooble158, which is primarily a project-based channel. Where with it, that's why I upload videos that I don't really feel like could fit on my main channel. Basically stuff that are not memes. And yet it's primarily kind of like school videos, etc. And 3D TV was a school video. So due to that, I didn't have access to the account. And yet with it, I didn't have any internet access, so which it was kind of limiting. So which due to that, I couldn't really upload any videos or really anything. But yet now we're finally at this home, but yet, again, for the past like few months, 3-ish months, it's just been absolutely just freaking chaos. It's just that so many things have just been going on that honestly I'm not even sure. And yet, as the days went on, I was unsure what kind of video do I even want to upload. Do I want to do a Thomas meme video, like I did before, or do I want to do a classic Tugs video? But even so, with those ideas, what are they going to be about? Like, what's meme I'm going to adapt next, or what Tugs character or set or whatever I'm going to do next. So due to this, I kind of more or less felt stuck. That was until later something hit me, and a video idea that I always wanted to do for quite a while. The history of Tugs. Specifically my Tugs. Kind of just talking about the history of of how Tugs kind of evolved over time. Of kind of how my adaptation kind of changed and yet warped. Due to that, I decided at least going to do this. So let's just go and just start way back in the beginning, around the year 2022. With it, the Unlucky Tug has uploaded a video, and that video was the retrospective of Season 3 of Thomas the Tank Engine. And when I watched it, he mentioned up Tugs, and yet I was going, you know what, I kind of want to give this show a shot. Since it was created by the same people, and from what I hear from him, it was generally kind of good. My only exposure to Tugs was basically through like not only the Unlucky Tug, but I remember I watched his his questions of Thomas, and one of them was of Tugs, and I remember when I first saw this, I had no idea what the heck was I even looking at. It was genuinely like interesting. I was thinking, what are these boat characters? Due to that, and then afterwards, so my next one was specifically with an iceberg, specifically from this guy. I don't know why I watched an iceberg on the show that I never even watched. I had even no idea. But due to this, when I saw Tugs, I was genuinely amazed by it. And yet, not only I watched his retrospective on Tugs, but I also watched the episodes in the order that he made. I wanted to adapt it. So with that, I decided, well, let's go and try that. And yet, I actually had a few ideas. The original idea was to use actual models. Specifically, I was thinking of recreating Lego versions of the Tug characters. Specifically, mostly inspired by French guy 261. And yet with this, the thing was that it was not kind of like what it meant. It's not entirely like his work. It was entirely different. It was meant to be like full blown out like a freaking love letter to Tugs. Like in every single bit. Not only these models themselves are going to be built as closely as they can to the original source, but even using the same methods that they did, basically actually having full-on water sets and having the boats themselves be on little trolleys to allow for them to move just like in the actual show. And even giving them interchangeable faces, since at the time I still had no idea how to do computer graphics. So due to that, I didn't really have too much options. So which I actually had an idea, and that was this. For the Lego Tugs, I wanted to go full out. You see, I had a plan. And yet, the thing was that with it, specifically I was going to use these black Lego rowboats. And yet with them, with these black Lego rowboats, they were meant to be kind of the hulls of the characters. And yet I got two, and yet they were meant for all the characters. In which, the reason why I bought two was for this. Two hulls were meant for Hercules, since he's the largest. One is for basically all the others, and kind of goes the same with all the other characters. With all the others, basically all of them just using the same hull, and yet the maximum will be two characters, one with Hercules. I was planning to get more, but yet of course I didn't really buy it since, you know, Legos were generally expensive. Not to mention, the thing was that it required me to have specific Lego pieces that I didn't even have, and yet I couldn't really buy them all at once. So due to this, it kind of resulted in it being kind of extremely sad. But it did went far enough along that I did buy two Lego rowboats, and as well as I went to go and buy and basically begin to start building Billy Shoepack. However, though, the thing was that with it, again, I couldn't really do much. And yet I actually had full-on plans too. Like, for example, having the bodies themselves be interchangeable to allow for it. And even since some tugs have their engines bigger, nearly to the point that you can barely see anything between the hull and the engine, basically using 4 studs across, and yet 2 for the smaller characters. So it's not only that, I also kind of want to use actual faces like in Tugs, specifically of them being interchangeable, and even having plans to use paper, yes, paper, of creating the paper faces and having it wrap around a Lego brick, specifically a 4-stud, forward wide, 2-stud, both wide, and yet length, basically just like this brick, but with these two. And what's using those as kind of where the face will be held. And yet, even for the eyes themselves, even using kind of a little strand of paper, and just draw some circles on there and allow for the eyes to move, specifically in close shops. And even with the Tugs models who have who uses 4 studs wide for the engine, even fitting in a mechanism of gears to allow for the head just to move around, just like in the actual show. Of course, I never really went through due to the fact of how grand this project was, and yet at the time I didn't really have that much resources, Legos, and yet the stuff that I really need to. So due to this, it ended up being pushed aside. That was until later when I first began to experiment with CGI around that Christmas. You see, I created 2 Thomas the Tank Engine faces, 3 technically, those being James, Thomas, and a truck, specifically Hector. And yet with them, it resulted in me kind of learning the 3D software that I use, Blender. And yet, due to this, I decided to recreate the Tugs models. Specifically, again, after a few tries, since I don't know why, but yet I kept on crashing when I tried to do it before. It wasn't until later now that generally it's fixed, but still. But yet with it, with Tugs itself, now I was actually able to have both that freedom and also the opportunity to allow for myself to actually learn. And yet especially even more so that I got some animation skills from my class. So due to this, I decided to go and make them. The thing was that I was planning to do kind of a little bait and switch. I was planning to do a full-blown Thomas the Tank Engine Hero of the Rails parody, basically recreating the whole Hero of the Rails music video. And yet with it, in the background, I'll be doing the Tug stuff, basically again modeling, animating, and even rendering. and yet is actually the reason why a lot of scenes in the Thomas the Tank Engine trailers, again, like in Thomas the Tank Engine trailer, the thing was that there was actually meant to be like a CGI face for Thomas, especially in the first scene. Same goes with basically with Spencer and etc. But yeah, I was in such a rush that I couldn't do much of it in time. So due to this, I just went, you know what, let's just give up. Okay, we can't render this again, because at the time I didn't really save any of my progress. But yeah, you can see kind of how unsettling it looks, and yet kind of how primitive it is, just because again, I was working in such fast and quick, like, thing that again, like looking at it now, yeah, it definitely does seem kind of a little bit creepy, especially with like Hero himself looking at you such with a blank face. I think there's just those wide eyes. But still, it's just that these were meant to be kind of more or less to be shown at school for the announcements, just as kind of a way just to kind of like show going, oh, it's this person who likes Strange, and just bait and switch them of showing Tugs. And again, the thing was that I was trying to work it in such a fast condition that I didn't really have time for me to do any of the stuff that I really wanted to do, or which couldn't really do, in which I couldn't really reshoot any shots. Since the thing was that with Here at the Rails, I wanted to do the Go 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 Thomas, but yet originally I wanted to do kind of the actual movie itself, but yet due to some production things in the back, I can't really do much. I ended up going with the Go Go Go. But with Tugs, though, that's actually kind of where it all started. The thing was that I recreated the episode, well, the scene, Trapped, specifically with 10 cents, wondering if everyone's okay, and then afterwards soon the scene of kind of Billy Shoepack blowing up the whole, like, old ship. That was actually the plan, was for me to go and do this. The thing was that originally I meant to do the whole, you know, Tugs, like, originally I wanted to do the whole Tugs intro thing. You know, the Unlucky Tugs is, like, intro for the Tugs retrospective. It originally was meant to be like that, but I didn't really have too much time, resources, or I didn't have time for me to do all the models, and not to mention some of the sets, so due to this I couldn't really do so. But yeah, you can see in the Tugs CGI, like, video of how kind of rough everything was. And that was just because this was the very first CGI animation that I have ever done. So due to this, it kind of looks a little bit rough, and especially kind of rushed, since again, it was definitely extremely exhausting. But yeah, I was able to get it done though. In which for that, afterwards soon, when that was over, I spent the following summer for me to work on the other Tug stuff. Of course, I was gone for about a month, but yet, yeah, that's something that's, I feel like it's starting to happen more again and again. But yeah, I did Boomer, and I also did Billy Shoepack. Specifically, I've given them their test animations. Then afterwards soon, I made a brand new Billy Shoepack. And then afterwards soon, I created the Shrimpers, which I'm absolutely proud of. I don't know, the Shrimpers are generally kind of good. And then afterwards in the Fulton Ferry. And then afterwards soon, I finally created Hercules. And then afterwards soon, I wanted to test out with basically creating my very first engine. Specifically, I wanted to do the Marklin engine. And yet the reason why I wanted to do the Marklin engine was because the thing was that in Tugs, two of the train characters, Puffa and Little Owl, they were entirely based off of the Marklin engine, like basically like one for one. But yeah, in the background, I was actually working on the Tugs intro, in which the thing was that it was meant to be kind of the intro for the announcements, to more or less of it being kind of like, now this is going to be the announcements. Tugs, Tugs, Tugs. And yet I was going to remake so much stuff for it, since not only I was going to recreate like several like scenes and stuff with them, but also you had videos and projects for them. For example, recreating like scenes from Tugs. Like I was planning to do like having like this, like the kids at school watch like episodes of Tugs that I remake for it, basically cutting them up into short segments, into parts, kind of making like a week-long like episode, just so every single like announcements people will get to see like an episode of Tugs or a clip from it. and yet they have to pay attention if they want to get the full story. But again, you can see me still learning about it. Again, and then after it soon, it never got used because the editor did not like any of the Tugs stuff, nor anything that it made, so that was fun. And after it soon, the Izzy Gomez, since around the time that I got myself into Tugs, Boomer crashing into Izzy Gomez was leaked, and also yet basically the transcript of of that accident was also released. And then after it soon we got with the outro that was meant to play alongside with the intro. Again, same thing, it was meant to be kind of, again, like this is what Tugs is, and you get ready for all of this. In which, yeah. And afterwards, I still do Tugs to this day, again, and yet the last Tugs video was surprisingly a fish could live underwater. I thought I did more, but yeah. I created the Ruler of Tugs, which was generally one of my favorites, and yet the thing was that it was planned to do it in full 3D animation, like full on, like having everything being fully remade in CGI. But again, it's just that the thing was that trying to not only animate this, but you render it out in time will definitely take so long, and I'm pretty sure it will not even be finished on time, since again, it was meant to be kind of more or less as another attempt for my school to see Tugs, and yet, yeah, that was a fun thing. Next, we got Blue Nose, which I created him specifically. I'm pretty sure I created him specifically for the Ruler of Tugs. With Blue Nose, I wanted to recreate some of his stuff, specifically like in episodes and scenes, especially of him getting to see Big Mickey crash, in which, yeah. And yet, surprisingly, the next day later, after Ruler of Tugs, I updated both Top Hat, but I updated both Top Hat and OJ, and as well as the Fulton Ferry, practically making those videos out of date. I don't know why, but yeah. And then after it soon, the next video was 10 Cents Calling Bluff, which again, I decided to test it out to see if, if I could do Tugs memes like I do with Thomas. Again, the same problem though. It would be amazing, but however though, the problem is just trying to render it all out in time will just not be sufficed. Of course, if I most likely do it now, it would be a little bit more better. But yeah. The next thing was definitely the vehicles for Tugs, in which with them, again, they're meant to be kind of props, so due to this, they kind of look a little bit rough around the edge. But again, like the Ford Model A was just because one person just sent me like ruler folder, give me like blueprints to the Ford Model A, so that's what I did. And yet for the Ford Model T, I actually that was modeled after my Ford Model T that I bought around the same time. And yeah, I just took pictures and just kind of copied them as closely as I can. In which, yeah, then after it's in the Beast of Pirates Bay, the Tugs version, this was an idea that I had for quite a while, and it was meant to be kind of the Halloween intro of kind of the year prior. Basically, like after the intro of Tugs was done, the one that was never used, I was planning to do like full-on Tugs stuff. Tugs Halloween, Winter/Christmas, and even kind of like Easter as well. Basically kind of having it be like a full-on Tugs meal. But of course that never really went through. And yet the thing was that thankfully I was able to do this, I was able to do this animation. And yet the next one is the J72 and Tugs Trains test. In which the thing was that I was struggling for me to make the characters from, again, them. Just because, again, with characters like Papa and Little Owl, they were still difficult for me to finally to do, but now finally I did them. In which, again, I have improved upon them so much better now. In which, again, due to that, it's just been nothing. Then after it's in the last Tugs video was the Puffer Coach Bridge Test 2. And yet with it, it was more at least to kind of test sound effects and just kind of see what will it look. And again, I made the coaches, in which, yeah. And yeah, that was the last video I ever truly uploaded. And that was just because that, again, not only the whole moving thing, but yet me having to find my feet in this. find my footing, and yet especially kind of with right now, with me being unsure of what kind of video do I want to upload. So it's now finally, here you go, the history of Tugs. How it went from originally to be like a full-blown out Lego creation with actual water sets, of it actually being close to the original, to it be done through CGI due to it being a little bit more easier and allow for me to kind of have a little bit more flexibility with it. Since if I'd done it in Lego, then they would have been a little bit more difficult for me to try to do some characters, especially with kind of like more release of the secondary characters. So due to this, I'm kind of glad that I get to do it in CGI. And yet, if you're wondering why I look like this, it's because the thing is, I'm just trying to test out animation, and yet I don't really have an avatar for my channel, and I don't think I ever will, I think. So which with it, it's just going to be different. So which, yeah, again, I'm sorry that I have not uploaded, but yet I should be back on YouTube at any time soon. And yet with it, I'm hoping that I get to upload more videos, both on my second channel, but also on my gaming channel, with that one video that's still on there. Oh my god, I need to upload something on there. So which, yeah, that's the history of Tugs for me. So anyway, thank you for watching, and have a great day.